with, but also I had to deal with their juniors in terms of the implementation of the projects under USAID. And while in the health sector, I also had dealt with other donors, not just USAID, the CDC, the USTDA, WHO. And the issue is there are so many things that are happening there that it's, at one point you are dealing with a group of 100 for dealing with family health. The next thing you are dealing with another group of 1,000 who are dealing with primary health care. So it was quite a number of people in thousands.
Now, your IBC is a big institution.
Yes, it is.
You will be having some 6 commissioners whom you will be working with. There will be a CEO. There will be 9 directors at the commission. There are over 24 managers in IBC. We are having 47 county returning officers. We are having over 290 sub-county, and there will be many stakeholders that you will be managing during the election process.
Yes.
So how is the experience that you've had help you transition to this huge institution known as IBC?
Thank you. And through the chair, like I've said, I handled a high-pressure job while I was a consultant under USAID. And it was just to see, IBC deals with one subject. This one, it was different subjects. Today you are on this one, tomorrow you are on the next one, and all of them I had to find a way to be able to collect all that information and be able to report on it. So for IBC, I think the numbers are manageable, and what you need is to have teamwork and to work with the other commissioners to ensure that you have different people handling different situations, so that the whole job does not rest with the IBC chairperson. It should be teamwork between all the people. I pride myself in being very good at training and giving capacity building, especially to the younger generation, to ensure that you are able to delegate as much of the work to them. Of course, making sure that you are able to ensure that the quality is the best.
Wish you well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you too.
Thank you. Now ask my colleague Evans Misati to ask you some questions.
Thanks so much, Chair. The Wanchiko. You have said now the Wanchiko is going to be the chair. Now, assume you are the chair of the IPC and we are given this opportunity to serve as a chair. As the chair, for providing strategic leadership and policy direction to enhance the performance of the Commission as your key role. Based from what you have described here, what will be your key principles and strategies to ensure that you guide the Commission in the right direction, particularly giving the vision and the tone that you will start with?
I would endeavor to ensure that IEBC is the most credible management, electoral management body that will be able to protect the democratic aspiration of the people of Kenya. And how would I do that? I have said I am very keen on teamwork. I would ensure that we are able to work together with the other commissioners and the secretariat to ensure that there is a proper proper policies are set. I have had a lot of experience in the making of policies, so I would then transition that knowledge into ensuring that we have good policies that are able to guide the secretariat on how to provide their service. Like I said, I have very good leadership skills. I find my you have to ensure that the timelines that you have, you are able to meet them. You identify what each person is able to do their best in their best capacity, and then setting timelines, giving guidance, so that now as a team you are able to give the best for Wajiko.
What challenges, Wanchiku, do you foresee as the chair from where you sit? What are the challenges that you can foresee in that position of the chair of IPC?
Thank you. And through the chair, I really can't see your name, so I apologize for not referring to you by name. But one of the biggest challenges we have is that commissioners run away from Kenyans at their time of need. That is what we have been experiencing as the people of Kenya. So that is likely to be a challenge even in before the results are presented. The other challenge has always been the digital system. While in the process of preparing the Digital Health Act and regulations, I learned just a few issues about what a digital system should have. It should be able to authenticate, it should be able to authorize and account. Authenticate meaning any person getting access to this system should be able to be given, the system should be able to authenticate who they are. Then authorize that person to specific parts of the system, and then account for every person who has been able to get in and out of this system. That is why now when cases go to the Supreme Court, then they are able to get into this system. Please note, I'm not an expert in ICT. Get into this system and see through the accounts made thereto who has had access, what they have done in that system, and any unauthorized access to the system. But I also believe, and one of the issues I would want to propose is that IEBC, as an arbiter, and a Constitution Commission, should not be a respondent in petitions. Because the minute you make IEBC a respondent, what happens is they work together with the winning party to be able to win the case. Because all of us are participants. We have all been sued. But if you make the IEBC more like a friend of the court, not in that manner, but in the manner that they are required within specific timelines. When there is a petition filed in Kiambu, then IEBC is required to provide the evidence and the information without being a party to that suit. Then you give a chance to get all that information and be able to give a judgment that corresponds to the needs of that particular petition.
Let me just ask. So who will be the
in terms of voter registration. We have lost almost 2 years. So we have about 3 years of young boys and girls who have qualified and have not been registered. So it is important to have to start immediately. And I would suggest, of course, to my team that we start with massive voter registration. Without, not the usual one, but we call for the massive voter registration for the people of Kenya. Of course, I would also be looking to ensure that that is also together with educating the voter as to why they need to register, how to register, and their civic duty to vote. Those two would work hand in hand. I would also be looking at the budget required for the 2027 general election, because there has been no commission. And so, whereas we are aware that the Secretariat may have presented a budget, it is important for the commission also to go through that budget and confirm whether it corresponds to what is required, what has been budgeted for, and whether it is adequate or maybe above what is required. The other issue that is running through our minds is the border issue. We know we are already out of time. That should have been done last year. We need to be able to cool down our people and be able to have a conversation as stakeholders, as the commissioners, as the Secretariat, as the people of Kenya, to ensure or to have a way forward on how to handle the issue of border delineation, while also considering that the timelines between now and the 2027 general election. Then there's the digital system. Again, this has been an issue over and over again. It is important to start. It's to be able to get it in good time. Procurement. I would ensure that whole process of procurement within IEBC is very, very open. I mean, you can tell people we are now looking for the system. Communication in Kenya is very easy. You can reach our young people through social media, the elderly through the TV. My mother watches, throughout the day. So, and there are those, of course, who still buy newspapers. So, what I would ensure is that there is very constant communication with the people of Kenya on the procurement processes within IEBC. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I wish you well. Looking forward to our Nchiku chairman.
Thank you.
Well, Ms. Fatuma Saman, would you like to ask some questions to Wanjiku?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Wanjiku, welcome.
Thank you, Fatuma.
Political parties are key players in the electoral processes in any democracy. Would you please tell the panel the role of the political parties as key stakeholders of the IEBC?
Ms. Fatuma, I would want to start, but we start here with this panel. The political parties are represented, so they are part of the people who are able to determine the new IEBC. And so they are participating by ensuring that we have a continuity by appointment of the IEBC. Political parties also are key stakeholders in the electoral process, because it is through them that you get candidates for the general elections. So their views should be at the forefront of their engagement, should be at the forefront with the IEBC in terms of deciding even the timelines, how voter education is going to be done. They should be consulted. Also, in terms of voter registration, it is important also to involve the political parties and keep them informed of the processes that are going on within IEBC. Again, very key is the issue of procurement, and especially of the digital system, the ballot boxes and the ballot papers. It is important to have continuous engagement between IEBC and political parties.
As the chair of the IEBC, what strategies would you put in place to ensure continuous constructive engagement with the political parties without necessarily compromising the independence of the Commission?
I am aware of the existence of the Political Party Liaison Committee, which is supposed to have engagement with the IEBC. So for me, I like order. So I would ensure that there is continuous, and if there are set dates within maybe monthly, quarterly, where we have meetings between the IEBC and the political parties. However, I am a strict follower of the rule of law. I believe that the law should be followed to the letter. So, and it is very clear that political parties have no influence on the activities of IEBC. Being a creature of the Constitution, it is important that IEBC is respected by all political parties and all political players to be able to deliver a free and fair and credible and transparent general election for the people of Kenya.
Any particular strategy?
The strategy for me would be to have the engagements, structured engagements, so that the issues that every political party wants to bring are discussed in an open room. Then I would also, like I said, ensure there is constant communication of the affairs of the IEBC, where IEBC will be able to tell political parties, this is where we are in terms of preparations. This is where we are in terms of any procurement that will affect the general elections. This is where we are in terms of voter registration and voter education. So the strategy is to ensure that you give communication to the political parties, there are structured engagements, and where the political parties cross the boundary, you should be able to tell them, this is what the law says.
Thank you, Wanjiku, and wish you well.
Thank you.
Next to come is Nicodemus Bore. He will ask you some few questions on leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, and Wanjiku.
We
are recruiting 7 members of IEBC Commission.
Yes.
You have applied to be the chair of that commission.
Yes.
The people you are bringing on board are of different diversity and diverse skills, experiences, backgrounds, and so forth. In the previous 2 cycles of elections, we've had what we call boardroom wrangles among the commissioners. Can you tell this panel what strategies you will have to make sure that the team that is picked will work cohesively to serve the people of Kenya diligently and with a lot of integrity, and will not experience what we have had the last 2 cycles?
Mr. Bore, and through the chair, as I had already stated, there is need to strengthen the laws in terms of how the IEBC commissioners can act. At the boardroom level, it is an issue of having capacity building and teamwork, and ensuring there is teamwork between the parties. And that can be done through continuous engagement, open communication, and open communication between the parties. And there should, I think we need to amend the law, the IEBC Act, to be specific, to give guidelines on how affairs within the commission, the 7 commissioners, including the chairman, should be guided, so that if there is a dispute, how is it recorded? For example, does the chair have the absolute right to declare the presidency when the other 6 commissioners are saying that is not the proper treaty? We need to have the law looked into and probably amended to actually the law provides that for you to make a decision, it should be more than half, that is 4 out of 7. But in terms of presidential results, it is said that there seems to be a contradiction in that law, because why is the decision then being made by one person as against the other 6? So those affairs need to be relooked into through stakeholders engagement. I would actually look into forming a multi-agency team to look into how to ensure there is there's no quabbles within the commission. I would actually be looking to adopt what is there at the Supreme Court. You have an issue, let's discuss it, and if we can't agree, let's put it down. This is my opinion. This is why I don't agree with the results that were presented. This is why I don't agree that even the results presented in other situations, the elections were not free and fair. But unfortunately, there is no procedure that can be able to cover that.
So, Madam, you are saying that you would have to change the laws so that people can work together?
With the experience that we have had. I've said in the boardroom affairs, it is clear that if we are making a decision, it's 4 out of 7. It is the majority. That wins. If we are going to obtain the oversight on the procurement process, and we are saying we are not going to take that company, and 4 out of 7 have agreed, that is how we are going to go. That is what the law allows. But the issue that has not been sorted out is in terms of declaration of results. And that's where you find IEBC commissioners disappearing on the people of Kenya at their time of need. So we come through this system. We have offered our services to the people of Kenya, but on the day that they need us most, then you disappear. So that is what needs to be guided by the law. Can you be able to just walk out? If you need to walk out, what should be the process to be able to do that? If there's a disagreement, and that is on the issue of the results, and they really cannot agree, there should be a law that provides for how to handle that. Otherwise, it will be just the usual boardroom wrangles on a very important issue that affects the whole of Kenya.
So you don't think it's about the leadership skills of the chair?
I think also in terms of, that's why I said in terms of the boardroom affairs, there are already provisions. Of course, you require to have a chair who is able to deal with everyone, who is able to gel, who is able to give very good leadership skills and follow the Constitution and the Leadership and Integrity Act. That person is the one who brings the glue to the group. But like in the general elections, there's a lot of political party interference or political interference at that point. That's why it is very important to have the law being the one providing for what should be done in that kind of circumstance. Yes.
Now, there was a case that involved Lilian Wanjiku Manegene, which I believe is you.
Yes.
Versus Kimunge Limited.
Yes.
On a bounce check.
Yes.
That you provided.
Yeah.
Can you please tell this honorable panel how that case went and whether it was resolved thereafter?
That involved a business that we were doing with a friend, and we were unable to agree at the point where we were not able to make a lot of money. We were not able to make money from it, so the person demanded that they needed their capital back. So, of course, we had a disagreement on how that was to be handled. I had the checks were supposed to give authority or to give this person the comfort that we will be able to do this business and be able to get our money back. But at the point where now the person decides to pull out and we did not agree, then I believe in the justice system. So that matter was forwarded to the court for it to be decided by the court, and the decision was done, and I followed what the court guided.
What did the court guide?
The court guided that I was to refer the money that the person had put into the business. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
So you issued a dishonored check?
Like I said, the issue was not the dishonored check. The check was not supposed to have been used for that purpose, because at that time we already had a disagreement on how to handle the business as it was. So the best possible way was I had given this check as for this person to have comfort about the business that we were getting into. So when we had a disagreement, without my knowledge, that check was deposited. So, of course, at the time it was deposited, if you don't have money, it will definitely be dishonored. There was no money in the account. But we still didn't agree on the system of refunding, because if we are getting into a business, we all know the risks that are involved. So, the matter was referred to the justice system. It was ordered that I should refund that money, which I have done according to the court's judgments.
And there were no other safeguards you could provide as an advocate of the High Court to your partner other than a guarantee of a check?
That was the agreement that was there, and this had nothing to do with the legal process. It was a business that we are doing off the legal business.
So you agreed to guarantee by placing a check?
Yes, because it's me who started the business earlier, so we want someone to put in some money. We've agreed you put, but that is the guarantee I put. But at the time they chose to have that deposited, I was not aware of it. But it was still disputed as to whether I disputed the fact that it is our business. If it's not doing well, then we should do it until such time when it is doing well for us to get our funds. But I believe in the process of the court. We went to the court made a determination, which I agreed with.
So provision of a check was a dishonest approach to this business?
It was by agreement of parties.
Yeah, but there was no money in the bank.
You see, that was supposed to be like I would give you my title and tell you, in the event that I'm not able we are not able to succeed, then you can come back you can come back and use that title as a security or logbook. So, but at the time we get to that point, then there is a process through which you do that. So, there was no specific dating on that check that it would be paid on that specific date. It was supposed to be security. In the event this business goes like this and you feel that you want to pull out, then you would inform me, and then I would ensure there are funds available. But I disagreed as to the point where we were saying that it is our business and it wasn't doing so well. So we resorted into the court process.
And the court found you to be on the wrong?
Yes.
Okay, Prof.
Thank you, Wanjiku. I would just...
And just to, Chair, just to state that was through a civil process.
Yes, I know it's civil.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Wanjiku, I would just like to follow from where Bore and the Chair have left, because you know the country is looking for a Chair who has the highest form of integrity. A candidate told us here that he should be like Caesar's wife, unblemished. The Chair has asked you successive questions on this check. I want to follow up. Did it have a date? Did it have an amount? Those two.
It had an amount, but it didn't have a date.
It didn't have a date?
Yes.
So it is Kimungi who put the date?
Yes, at the time it was taken to the bank, yes.
Was that the agreement? What was the agreement?
The argument was we had a dispute as to whether at that specific time, then I should be able to refund the money. But then, rather than us coming to a conclusion on it, took the check that was there as security and chose to deposit it.
Just make me understand. Why would, let's assume I'm Kimungi, I'm in an agreement with you, and we have agreed that in case of anything A, B, and C, why would I have to hold the check without a date? Why would it be that at the time that we need to sort it out, you would then issue me the check unless you are going to be out of the country? Just make me understand. It's just,
like
I just want to see the logic.
It's more like you would give a logbook to someone with as security. We are doing this together. If in the event that there are issues that happen, then I'll be able to use that logbook to be able to claim back my money. So at the time when you decide now, this person we are not able to do this business together, then that person, the best that would have happened is, rather than have that check deposited, is come back to me, or we come to a compromise where we say, I am not going to be a member of this business, give me back the money that I put in. And actually, if you look at it, it wasn't just the amount that was in the check. It was more than that. I had already given back some of it because at that time the business was making
very well. Very well. I've heard you.
Yes. So it was not through a dishonest system on my part to be able to do that. It is that it was done without my knowledge, first of all. Because if you deposit a check and I don't know about it, I would expect you to tell me you are depositing so that I also ensure if it's moving money from another account to that one, or it's moving money from wherever, then it is there and it doesn't become dishonored. But for me, I feel that that should have been handled in a better way.
Was there a written agreement to that effect?
No.
Yeah, that's
it was a gentleman's agreement.
That's why I was telling you, let's leave it, because the more you go, then the more I interrogate, because the way you're explaining it, if there was a written agreement, then we would say that he breached that agreement. But you are saying that there was no agreement written to that effect. So let's leave it to rest there.
Yeah.
You told us you are the proverbial Wanjiku. You have the name Wanjiku.
Yes.
That every time the country talks of Wanjiku, of the Constitution, it's that, I know you know that it's that grassroots person. That's how Wanjiku was used. Yes. That local citizen down somewhere in Mandera, down somewhere in Turkana, down somewhere in Lamu, deep in the hinterlands of Kitui. That's the Wanjiku. This Wanjiku Manegene, if she's made chair, she's a lawyer, she's already done a lot of management on health issues, she's a big-time consultant. If she's made chair, demonstrate to her as how, other than just having the name Wanjiku, she would be the embodiment of the aspirations of the ordinary Kenyan that is usually referred to as Wanjiku.
Okay, as I had stated in my intro, I have done a lot of issues from the civic part of it. When that name was coined, I was by President Moi during the making of the Constitution. I was actually a student, and I was not happy with the use of my name in that capacity. And I was very happy when the cartoonists were able to switch the narrative to say that it is the Wajiko's Constitution. So Wajiko, I am Wajiko by virtue of being a Kenyan. I am very easy to interact. I find it very easy to interact with Wajiko on the ground, to the extent that I will leave this room, wear a pair of jeans, and you'll find me interacting and talking to Wajiko on the ground. So I believe, while I may have gone on to get an education and get involved in other issues, my democratic aspiration as a Kenyan still lie within that space of Wanjiku. So I have, like I've said, been involved in a lot of stakeholders engagement and public participation. So I would ensure that Wanjiku, Halima, Chelono, all of them are involved in this process, and I would ensure that there is transparency in the process of in the processes of IEBC to ensure and then I would also ensure that Wanjiku is kept is the communication with Wanjiku is very transparent, so that they are able to know what is happening in IBC. We want to do mass voter registration. We are doing it between this and day. Then you ensure that it's all over the social media, that the information is communicated to Wanjiku in the language that they understand. And having been that Wanjiku at some point, then I'm able to associate and know what the needs of Wanjiku would be.
Thank you very much. Yes. The last question from me, again, touches on integrity. What are the core values
that guide your decisions when faced with morally gray areas in professional life?
Sorry, Mary?
What are the core values that guide your decisions when faced with morally gray areas in your professional life?
Okay, my core values stem with, first of all, I believe in the rule of the law. I would be able, where there are gray areas, then I would look to ensure that the decisions made speak to the intended or the intention of the law. I would ensure that I have, I'm able to have transparency in my dealings so that people are able to understand where I am coming from. And the issue of effectiveness and efficiency in the running of the business or affairs of the of the IEBC. Also, I have, like I've said again, my leadership skills have been very good. I'm able to organize people, organize assignments, to be able to ensure that we get the results that are required. And working with USAID actually taught me a lot of issues in terms of timelines, delivery within specific times. You are paid for what you have delivered. You're not paid just because you're supposed to have been at work that day. You must be able to prove it. Actually, it's paid per hour. You must be able to account for each hour of what you have been doing. So I bring a system that is, I'm able to work under pressure, sometimes working during weekends and long working hours, just to be able to deliver what is required of me.
Thank you, Chair.
Before you come back with some 2 short questions, I'd like to ask Madam Koki to do a follow-up, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Wakili, there are 2 statements that you made that have made me to come back to clarify. The first statement was that commissioners, like judges of the Supreme Court, can write dissenting opinions on what they saw in reference to what happened in Bomas. I want to seek clarification, and perhaps for Kenyans and members of the panel here, that in an election, let's take, for example, the presidential elections that made the Cherera 4 to leave Bomas and to dissent, was because of they disputed the results that were announced. The law is very clear that a presidential candidate wins when they garner 50 plus 1% and 25% in 24 of the votes cast in 24 counties. Now I'm just imagining a scenario of the kind of dissenting opinion that you are saying that they can write. In that regard, if the chair is on his or her own, and there are 3 commissioners on this side saying that the presidential candidate has won according to the Constitution and the law, and the 3 commissioners are saying the presidential candidate has not won. What are you saying? That the 3 can say to Kenyans that they disagree, and the others can say they agree. Then what is left for Kenyans? Please just explain that. Then I'll ask the follow-up for the second one.
What I'm saying is that I would propose amendments to the law that allows the dissenting. We may not use dissenting as is used in the Supreme Court, but I have a reason why I am leaving Bomas. I'm running away. And that is what caused disunity within Kenyans, because they don't know why. It is not somewhere. It is, I would be proposing that it is put in writing Why have I left? Why don't I agree with this process? So that all this information then, when you go to the Supreme Court, it's presented there for the court to make a decision. Also, to build confidence of IEBC within Kenya. Because when we have a commission of 7 people, and 6 of them decide to abandon, it is not what is there under the law. It is what is created or what the people of Kenya see about the IEBC. So how do we make it easier for the people of Kenya to be able to understand what is happening? You have seen the Supreme Court is able to calm Kenya when it goes there because there are already systems that have been set on how to handle even where judges disagree on a judgment. So those are the kind of proposals I would be making. They may not mirror exactly what is there at the Supreme Court, but there needs to be a system through which commissioners don't walk away. They have a system through which they can communicate to Kenya that this is why we are saying we are on this side. And before the results are released, then they should be given that opportunity to talk to Kenya. That will create unity within the people of Kenya.
Wouldn't that affect the legitimacy and the credibility of the result and leave Kenyans without a result?
I don't think that would affect the legitimacy because it's the same way. We have a dissenting judge. That does not interfere with the legitimacy of the judgment they make, that is made by the majority. What I'm saying is the reason we have so many political wrangles and crashes within Kenya is because people do not trust that the system that was used. So, because I, as a commissioner, just disappeared from this system. I did not tell Kenyans. That communication is very integral to the people of Kenya, to tell them, these are the results. And then we still have another arbiter, who is the Supreme Court, who will be able to look through all these statements that are made by these commissioners while making a decision as to whether the election was free and fair. But walking away creates disunity. It creates the image that that whole activity was not free and fair.
Thank you very much. The second point you raised was very interesting.
Before you vacate that, this touches on the point that FCPA and we asked you. The result at the tallying center is mathematical. It's a figure. And there cannot be 2 figures. And of course, you are conscious of Justice Mcherure et al. Ruling on the Maina Kiai case, yes, that the results are as announced at the polling station.
Yes.
So I'm wondering why the chair will be encouraging part of the commissioners to write and dissenting opinion on what? Because the figures are mathematical.
Now, that is where the question comes in, Chair, because it is very mathematical. I agree with you. It's a matter of 1 + 1 is equal to 2. But people have sat in a boardroom and have refused to agree on those figures of, they have done their 1 + 1 and it has gone to 7. So there is a result, which will be announced by the IEBC commissioner. However, other people have said, we do not agree on this.
Even be a boardroom issue here.
If they are just told, you go away, okay, what do Kenya read into that and the affairs of IEBC? That is where we get a situation where people do not trust IEBC. Why are they dissenting? It is mathematics. But you see, if I come and give my reason why I'm dissenting, then you are able to make a decision as a Kenyan and say, hey, what you're saying does not make sense. But when I just walk away and you don't know, and the Kenyans don't know what that person has left, then that creates an issue as to the credibility of the electoral system.
Thank you again, Chair. The second point you raised that was very interesting is to say that IEBC should not be enjoined as a respondent in a matter. I'm just requesting you to sort of clarify for the panel and for Kenyans what that means. Take, for example, the scenario where you responded that the applicant, who would be the losing candidate, would sue the winning candidate. What if the winning candidate said, listen, this election was free and fair, was conducted by a neutral arbiter, the IEBC. I have nothing further to say. I'm not the one who conducted the election. And therefore, the result stands. And you have sued me. I'm not the one who conducted the election. I was declared the winner. And then the judge, as you said, the judge then gives the IEBC a timeline and says, bring this evidence that you conducted, you didn't conduct a free and fair election leading to the loss of this person, or you rigged the election. So, I mean, would the IEBC be expected to actually accuse itself by providing evidence that shows that they bungled the election, therefore the applicant lost? That is the dilemma that I'm seeing. But perhaps you can explain yourself what you meant by that. That would be useful. Thank you.
Thank you again, Ms. Koki. Mrs. Koki, Ambassador Koki, through the chair. Again, what I'm trying to say is that our system in Kenya, the legal system, is adversarial. It is not inquisitive. The court is not allowed to call for evidence, do an investigation, and come up with the answer. What we do is you sue the person, you start the petition. So when I am defending myself, I will put only to the court only the information that is enough to defend myself. And that's why IEBC should not be a party to that suit. But the law as it is, should be able to require that IEBC, a petition has been filed in Kisumu County, and within 7 days, IEBC to provide all the information, because you are an independent arbitrator. There's nothing to hide. You're not trying to prove that you did the elections wrongly or rightly. You're supposed to present to the court that information, and the court to make a decision whether how it was conducted, how the results were read, how the results were tallied was the proper way. It is it's an arbitrator. The minute you put IEBC together with the winner, and by experience, that's what you do. You start working together with IEBC. And IEBC then only provides minimal information to the court, in which case, again, we go to the process of, was that election free and fair? Because if it's free and fair, why would IEBC require to hide the information? The arbitrator is the court. Then you provide that the court audit that process and give a judgment as to whether that was done properly. That would actually go very far into building confidence within the IEBC.
Thank you very much, Wakili. Thank you very much, Chair.
Finally, Professor Adams will ask some questions to you.
Wanjiku, during your presentation, you demonstrated a good grasp of the constitutional journey and the electoral journey the country has gone through. Who was the chair of the Electoral Commission of Kenya? The first one in the post-multi, after the return of multi. No, in 1992.
1992, 1997, that was Kivuito. But that is the earliest I had an engagement with the electoral system.
Okay.
I remember Kivuito, yes.
All right. Who is the current chair of the Council of Governors?
Forgotten. Abdullahi from one of the counties in there. I have forgotten his name.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Wanjiku. It's now the time for you to crack the joke for us. If you have any comment or question to ask, kindly do so.
I will say that, as like I said, my name represents the constitutional aspirations of the people of Kenya, and I would like to be given this opportunity to serve the people of Kenya in the capacity of IEBC chair, because I think even the name will go very well in ensuring there's confidence by the people of Kenya in IEBC.
I hope you remember the hustler narrative. Allow me to thank you for the time that we have spent with you. We have learned a lot from you. Thank you very much for allowing us to come into your space, to know you, to appreciate who you are and the capacity that you have. And we indeed are grateful that you spent time with this panel in this manner. We look forward to finishing this process today of looking for chair in terms of interviews. And we wish you well, praying that it shall go well with you, and we'll finally have a chair that will chair the IEBC for us. Feel free to pick the water. You have a notebook and your certificates. Kindly don't leave them for us. Yes, ensure that you have all your documents with you. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you too, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you, members of the Fourth Estate. Again, we will ask you to give us a few minutes. We will be back with the next interviewee at 11 o'clock. Yeah, thank you very much.